My violent baptism. I am Earth, your home. In the beginning, I was a screaming laboratory of fire. I was born 4.5 billion years ago from a chaotic solar nebula, a molten sphere of slag and fury. Gravity, my great architect, pulled heavy iron to my core, while lighter silicates rose like boiling foam to my surface. Then came the Theia impact, a collision of planetary proportions that liquefied my crust and flung the seeds of my moon into orbit. For millions of years, I lived as a hellscape of magma oceans, under a choking atmosphere of carbon dioxide. Yet within this violent baptism, my first miracles occurred. As I slowly exhaled my heat into the void, my surface began to harden into a rocky skin. Steam hissed from my cooling stones, rising to form the very first clouds in my dark sky. This was my overture, a world of glowing red and obsidian black, waiting for the first drop of rain to wash my face. The gift of the blue veil as my fever finally broke. The heavens opened. For eons, torrential rains fell upon my cooling crust, pooling into my first primordial oceans. This was the dawn of my life as the blue marble. In the crushing depths of these seas near my mineral-rich volcanic vents, chemistry performed its greatest magic trick. It became biology. Simple single-celled organisms emerged, extremophiles that feasted on my inner heat rather than sunlight. Eventually, a revolutionary group of microbes called cyanobacteria mastered photosynthesis. They began pumping a toxic byproduct into my atmosphere, oxygen. This great oxidation event forever changed my chemistry, creating the protective ozone layer and setting the stage for more complex life. My sky turned from a murky, bruised orange to a brilliant sapphire blue. I was no longer just a spinning rock. I was a living, breathing entity vibrating with the quiet, microscopic pulse of trillions of tiny pioneers. The era of the giants, out of the ashes of the Permian extinction. I gave rise to my most iconic era, the Mesozoic, the age of dinosaurs. From the Triassic to the Cretaceous, these terrible lizards dominated every corner of my being. I was a hothouse then, devoid of polar ice caps and lush with the first flowering plants. Dinosaurs like the towering Brachiosaurus made my very bedrock shake, while the Tyrannosaurus rex redefined what it meant to be my apex predator. This was a world of colossal scale. Massive marine reptiles like plesiosaurs patrolled my deeps, and pterosaurs with wingspans like small planes claimed my winds. It was a stable 180 million year golden age of reptilian supremacy. Mammals existed, but they were small nocturnal shadows, scurrying beneath my ferns, waiting for a gap in the armor of the giants. My world felt permanent, a lizard king empire that seemed destined to last forever under the warm Cretaceous sun. The day I broke. My reptilian empire ended not with a whimper, but with a celestial hammer blow. 66 million years ago, a mountain-sized asteroid slammed into my Yucatan Peninsula with the force of billions of atomic bombs. The Chicxulub impact sent a plume of my own vaporized rock into the atmosphere, blocking my sun and plunging me into a nuclear winter. My temperatures plummeted, and the photosynthesis that fed my children ground to a halt. The giant dinosaurs, dependent on massive amounts of food, vanished almost overnight. But in the cold darkness, a new story began. Small burrowing mammals survived my fire and the frost. When the dust finally settled, I was empty and quiet, but the survivors were resilient. This mass extinction was a brutal reset button, clearing my decks for the Cenozoic era. The age of scales was over. The age of fur and warm blood had begun as mammals stepped out of the shadows to claim my ruins. The awakening of mind. With the giants gone, my mammals underwent a radical radiation of form. In just a few million years, tiny creatures evolved into massive elephants, swift horses and whales that returned to my seas. My climate began a slow, multi-million-year cooling trend, giving rise to vast grasslands and the megafauna, mammoths and saber-toothed cats. Within this changing landscape, a specific lineage of primates in Africa adapted to my shrinking forests by walking upright. These early hominids traded climbing prowess for endurance and the ability to use my stones as tools. The development of a complex brain became their ultimate survival trait. As the Pleistocene ice ages sent glaciers grinding across my northern continents, these humans learned to control fire-stitch clothing and hunt in sophisticated groups. They were the first of my children capable of not just surviving my environment, but actively reshaping my face to fit their needs, marking a transition to cultural revolution, my uncertain future. I now stand in the blink of a geological eye, known as the Holocene, though many now call it the Anthropocene, the age of humans. In a few thousand years, humanity has transformed my face more than any species before it. They have split the atom, mapped my genetic codes, and sent metal vessels from my surface into the stars. However, their rapid expansion has come at a cost, a changing climate, and a thinning web of the life I spent eons perfecting. I am now a connected planet wrapped in silicon and fiber optics, yet I remain a fragile oasis in a cold void. My future and the continuation of this 5 billion-year-old masterpiece rests on their ability to harmonize their technology with the ancient biological rhythms that birthed them. Whether they are a brief flash in my fossil record or my long-term stewards, my biography continues to be written. The journey of my life is far from over.